right, welcome everybody. Again, my name is Amanda. I am the Regional Director for Brain Balance of Greater San Diego. We are going to tell you a little bit about our program here at Brain Balance and specifically focus on brain health for adults. So I'm really excited for this topic and I'm sure you are too. That's what brought you here. And the goal by the end is for you to be able to define, what is neuroplasticity? If you've never heard of that word before, hopefully it'll be part of your vocabulary moving forward. I want to make sure that you walk away knowing what's one of the main ways we can create new neural networks in our brain, right? What gets your neurons, those cells excited basically, and then making sure that you have some action steps to improve your brain health or that you can share with someone else in addition to that too, okay? So one thing I do want you to recognize by the end of the program is that what you do matters, what you eat matters, and what you think matters. I think a lot of it goes back down to these basics. So what you do matters, what you eat matters, what you think matters is very, very important. And the kind of flow today will be doing a little introduction about brain balance, a little bit of the background around the brain itself, and then how neuroplasticity plays into it. What are some of those best practices, of course, for healthy aging? And then once we're done with that review, how can brain balance help you and the Q&A that I mentioned, okay? Oh, first, I love to start every workshop with a little warm up to prime our brain and our bodies to absorb what we're about to learn. So I invite all of you, if you're standing, if you're sitting, do whatever is most comfortable for you. But if you can go ahead and put your hand on your heart and your belly, we're just going to do a few big breaths. You're going to breathe in through your nose whenever you're ready. You're going to hold it for a moment, and then you're going to exhale fully through your mouth. So I'll do that with you whenever you're ready on your own, or you can do it with me. Everybody inhale. Hold. And exhale slowly through your mouth. What I want you to feel as you do this again, inhale, is I want you to be able to feel your belly rise, hold, and exhale slowly, and I want you to feel that belly deflate. As much as possible, I want to make sure that you do belly breath. So one more time. Hold, and slowly exhale. Warming up your brain and your body in general, whether you're about to start work or you're about to study, maybe your kiddos are about to head off to school, is really important because you want to wake up those neurotransmitters in the brain. And we'll talk a lot more about that later. But hopefully that breath and bringing that oxygen in got your body a little more amped. I like to do a little bit of shoulder rolls too. I do sit a lot as part of my job. And if that's you too, make sure you get up and stretch, okay? A little bit about me. Again, I'm the regional director. I manage the 3 centers in San Diego. So San Diego, as in Carmel Mountain Ranch, is our main center. And then we have 2 satellite centers down in South Bay in Chula Vista, and then on the coast in Encinitas. And my background is actually in education, all forms of non-formal, especially education. And through my diverse background and experiences led me to brain balance that I really love because I get to do this. I get to support the community and your well-being so that you can really meet your own personal goals and be your best selves, essentially, right? And a lot of people who come to Brain Balance have all different types of goals, all different types of challenges, and that can include things like focus, anxiety, something we see quite a bit of all ages, stress management. I did see a lot of that for the folks who registered. Memory is something I've been hearing a lot of lately, and just overall cognition, right? Which is a big umbrella that I'll go over, but that includes how you perform, how you make decisions, multitask, and more, okay? So everyone comes to us for all different reasons. Everybody can use some brain balance, some people a little bit more than others, okay? And something for you to recognize too is that this program is based on research and it's also backed by research. And all of our research is on our website, brainbalance.com/research. And we are considered evidence-based specifically as a non-medical treatment for those with ADHD or ADHD symptoms. So Harvard actually is someone who studied us extensively and said that we're basically just as effective, which is really incredible. And being that non-medical approach, I was mentioning earlier to one of you, a lot of folks come to us because they're looking for an alternative and maybe the traditional route hasn't worked for them. But besides the ADHD and ADHD symptoms like focus and kind of executive functioning, essentially. We also really improve a lot of mental health and overall well-being, as well as cognitive skills, which many of you joined today for that reason. Okay, so you can read that on our website. So let's talk about the brain. So there's no sound here, so don't worry. I just want to show you this visual because your brain is fascinating. It's extremely intricate. And as an infant, when you're first born, or any infant that's born, we develop lots and lots and lots of neurons, and each neuron is responsible for something else. And over time, these neurons make connections with each other, and it becomes this extensive network in the brain. I like to think of it like a big highway, basically. And the goal is, as we experience life, get stimulated through our environment, and learn how to control our bodies, we are able to be more efficient, ideally, at least. We're able to make all these trillion plus connections that help us function ideally throughout our day and throughout our lives. And the beautiful thing about the brain is it's continuously growing and changing and adapting. And that's what neuroplasticity is. And I'll dive more into that later. But the reason why I showed you these connections and why I'm talking about these forever connections is because that's how we can improve ourselves. All right. Everything comes back down to the brain and the connections or disconnections happening, whether developmentally or whatever it may be. We'll talk about more of the other external factors that affect behavior and learning and cognition too. But studies like with Cambridge University have shown that brain connectivity is highly connected to ADHD and cognition, learning, behaviors, and of course, even things like mental health. Okay. So one thing to note is because everything is connected, you may have some strong pathways that give you these amazing strengths, but you may also have these weaker pathways that inhibit you from thriving. It could stop you from remembering little details. It can be challenges with anger management. I see a lot of that as well. And the saying of you're only as strong as your weakest link is true for the brain. And so we can really build up and support overall well-being in the brain to support all aspects of functioning. So you may want help for one thing, but know that if you're only hyper-focusing on essentially what I call the tip of the iceberg, the symptoms of whatever your challenges may be, it's not as effective as if you support your whole well-being. And that's a big goal for you to take away today, okay? So what is cognition? Let's make sure we're all on the same page here. So cognition is according to Oxford Dictionary at least, is the mental action or process of acquiring knowledge, understanding through thought, experience, and the senses. And I really love that they included the senses because in the end, it's our senses that help us interact with the world around us, okay? And when we think about cognition, it revolves around things like focus and memory, learning, reasoning, language skills, social skills, and even our orientation in terms of, right, not running into things or tripping, to how we drive well or not well. And some of you were really interested in improving your executive functioning. And that's another big umbrella that's underneath cognitive abilities. And that could include things like impulse control and behaviors, right? How you feel in the moods, self-regulation versus how you are able to complete projects and problem solve, okay? So if you want to improve cognition and you want to improve your executive functioning and you want to improve essentially your overall being, it really comes down to building up the brain connections in the brain, all the neural networks in the brain, all right? So how do we do that? We do that by stimulating the brain through our sensory motor engagement, basically, right? Our senses are really huge and movement is huge. So I put it all together, sensory motor engagement. You have to see, smell, feel, taste, hear the world around us properly, right? Make all of that make sense in the brain and move your body with it. Those two factors are really key to, again, get the brain excited. That's how I like to explain it. So neuroplasticity, this is, again, the idea that we can always change and manipulate how our brain is working, all right, for better or worse, but we're going to focus on the better, of course. We want to improve and enhance our well-being. And with neuroplasticity, there's a famous saying, neurons that fire together, wire together. And so again, if we're trying to improve cognition and overall functioning, we need to build new connections, stronger connections. And we do that again through sensory motor engagement. All right. You have to engage both. We already know movement is important, but again, if you can pair it with the sensory piece, it's huge, okay? So why do we wane in our cognition and our abilities as we get older? Some of the science includes there's a reduction in brain volume, right? Our blood flow just decreases over time, right? Cells are not as efficient, and those connections over time break down as well. And so when that happens, right, we don't have the foundation to support the brain and the fuel it needs essentially, then there is generally a reduction in cognitive functioning. And that, remember, basically pertains to how we remember information, how we produce language. There's a lot of folks coming into our center right now who have a loss of words often. It's not just the memory piece. They can't figure out what was that one thing I wanted to say. And I admit I'm guilty of that sometimes too. Processing speed, of course, slows down, and that can affect our decision-making abilities. And some of the risks for decline that I wanted to go over include genetics. That's something that you can't change, and brain balance cannot reverse genetic challenges, right, that you are maybe born with. However, you can be responsible for how it's expressed. So things like chronic diseases, including diabetes or high blood pressure, can be serious risks, right? Again, you're not able to pump all that blood and fuel and oxygen and energy to the brain that does everything for us. And then things like obesity, lack of exercise, your mental health. Remember, what you think matters too. Disease and viruses, and even relationships are huge risks for cognitive decline. But remember, there are certain things that you can't control and change, but there is a lot that you can. What you do matters, what you eat matters, and what you think matters, right? Remember that. So what are the pillars for brain health then? What can you control? What can you do to ensure that your brain is as fit as possible? Number one, I mentioned movement. That's huge. If exercise is one of those trigger words for you, don't say that. It's really about movement, any movement. There's so much research that keeps coming out year after year, if not months, that shows if you just get up and walk to the water cooler even, right? Every half hour, that's a big difference. And what's really great is here, if you're from San Diego, at least, we have UCSD, University of California, San Diego, that does amazing research. And they recently published a big paper basically on physical activity and brain health and aging. And they were able to determine that you only need about 31 minutes of per day, or about 1,800 steps, to be in adequately fit state. And what that means is if you moderately raise your heart rate, and my example of what does that mean is if you are able to feel your heart beat a little bit, but still have a conversation, that's moderate intensity in terms of whatever activity you're doing. Again, not necessarily exercise, right? In terms of going to a gym, it could be as simple as you vacuuming. That raises my heart rate. Doing laundry, gardening, everyday activities count towards these steps and towards this type of movement that's good for your well-being. And what's also neat is if you can use some kind of fitness tracker or have a workout buddy or someone to help keep you accountable, you're more likely to meet those goals as well. Beyond movement and exercising your body, you have to exercise your brain, no matter what age you are. We really need to have novelty. The brain craves it. And what that means is something new that's not too challenging, but not too easy. All right. And the more we can have active behaviors that engage the brain, like reading and driving even, that's very cognitively tasking, the better, versus the passive sedentary behaviors like doomsday scrolling, TV, cell phone kind of activities. So moving your body, and if you compare it with exercising your brain, like learning a new hobby or sport. I know everybody loves pickleball, for instance. I just learned that for the first time less than a month ago. It's really great to build new connections and build multiple connections, because the way our brain works is it likes to bridge things we already know. So having that connection, and especially of interest, is really key. Nutrition is another piece. That's a main pillar of brain health because, as I mentioned, the brain needs fuel. In fact, takes up, I think, I don't even want to quote, I haven't said this in a while, but it takes up a lot of nutrients for all the food that you put in your body. And for only the brain being about 3 or 4 pounds, it takes up a significant amount of the nutrients. And the more variety, that's the big takeaway. The more variety you give your body, the better. The more whole, non-processed foods, the better. And one thing to also keep in mind, less sugars. Sugar literally degrades the connections between the cells in your brain and your body. And what's really important is to give it foods, of course, that promote the building of those new neurotransmitters as opposed to breaking it down, right? You can imagine we want to make sure there's a balance in a lot of what we eat, okay? So if you're someone that kind of sticks to the same kind of meal plans, you're comfortable with it, I encourage you and challenge you to switch it up this week, okay? Try something new, again, getting the brain excited, okay? Other basics that we tend to ignore our sleep, right? No matter how old you are, we need adequate sleep. That's a time when our brain or our body repairs and processes information from the day. And something I like to tell not only my my young students, but also my adults are go to bed alarms and figuring out a good bedtime routine so that you are able to set yourself up for quality sleep, okay? The other thing is socializing, relationships. One of the things that degrade over time are our quality relationships, at least for some people. We tend to isolate more, and it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. And so as long as you're staying engaged with maybe your family and friends, or you're making new friends, it's really exciting for the brain. Even literally saying hi to a stranger on the and smiling at a stranger on the street, as opposed to just ignoring them and walking by, can be really beneficial for the brain. So having a social supportive network is another part of healthy aging, okay? And the last piece, you hear this a lot lately, is mindfulness. And what that means is being present. I like to say tap into your senses. There are many times when I'm driving, for instance, and your brain kind of runs off. That's not being mindful, though. Being mindful means tapping in back into the current situation. What's happening? Maybe I'm noticing the different colors of the cars. I will see what I'm hearing. I might think about what I'm feeling while I'm holding, the steering wheel. I look at, the sun or the clouds and the pattern. So being present is huge, and you can practice being mindful in most settings, even eating a meal, rather than just eating and socializing, not thinking about what you're having. Enjoy it. Think about how it tastes in your mouth. And as you're able to practice these types of best practices, I guess, it really helps manage your stress. If we can manage your stress and help you be present and, again, breathing, all those pieces can help you live a much longer, healthier, more cognitively fit life. All right. So maybe you've tried all of this, though. Maybe you need a little bit of a reminder, but you need a little bit more help. All right. No matter what age you are, again, you can be 3-4 years old. To my oldest student right now is 92. We can all use a little coaching. And so what I wanted to share next is that Harvard Medical School actually identified 6 cornerstones to any effective brain health and cognitive fitness program. And I found this well after I started Brain Balance. And I'm really proud to say that we fit a lot of the bill. They ask you to make sure that these programs include exercise and movement, that it incorporates a healthy diet, that it is emphasizing the importance of quality and enough sleep, manage your stress, like I just mentioned, that you are participating in some kind of social interaction, and that it mentally stimulates you. That's really important. Brain Balance really is that secret sauce. And I'm super proud of the program we've had for, 16, 17 years at this point, with so much research backing up what we do, and about 60,000 individuals at this point. Diagnoses are not, by the way. You don't have to be diagnosed. We're non-medical, so we don't diagnose either. But we are a solution that combines the sensory motor experiences and all your senses, right? And literally movement of your body in very particular ways, but it's personalized to you. And not only is it personalized to you, or actually because it's personalized to you, it's that perfect amount of load and challenge, meaning again, it's not too hard, it's not too easy, and it's exciting as many different regions of the brain as possible to ignite as many different connections as possible. So that's really what drives change. And that optimal functioning is that trifecta of that physical, sensory, motor exercises, the nutrition, and then the cognitive piece that we incorporate and social piece that we incorporate in our program. So because of the whole brain approach, it's tailored for you. You have your own performance coach. You also have a nutrition coach. I didn't mention that. Nutrition is part of our program as well. With the science behind our neurotechnology, we're able to serve almost any age and only in a short amount of time. Our program is a minimum of 4 months. And I can tell you how it breaks down depending on the type of program that is best for you. But basically, we have very targeted exercises, again, using neurotechnology, and then we have our cognitive performance apps that you would be using. And this is one of our alumni here. Basically, we want you to feel your best in those few months by really checking in on a regular basis. And again, doing a lot of different types of activities to train the brain. And so that includes things like core, which is foundational to processing speed from the brain. We need it to do almost everything in life. And so core is a big part of our program. Balance, as we get older, balance wanes, and that's part of what we call our vestibular system, or the inner ear. And there's different systems that support that ability or inability, whether your eyes are open or closed, uneven surface or not. We want to make sure, again, those areas of the brain are fit. We also have rhythm and timing, body coordination, a lot of what we call bilateral movements, which mean you have to use multiple sides of the brain to do an activity. Think of like a jumping jack is not necessarily that easy for some people, or maybe they can do it, but they can't maintain it. So that rhythm and timing gets messed up too. So you would have your own equipment kit. You'd have the support of your personal coach for both the exercises and for nutrition. And again, in just a few months, we really see a lot of change. And you can hear about a lot of those changes, not only on our website or our reviews, but our YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube, at Brain Balance San Diego, there are a lot of testimonials, not only for our kids, but for specifically our adults. You can see how we're experts in the community in this topic, especially through the news playlist. And then if you have kids, or if you know of others who struggle with other neurodevelopmental experiences like sensory processing challenges, anxiety that we talked about earlier, we have a lot of free webinars there too. So we're a big community resource. We really value our community. We are Live Well partners. So July 10th is officially Brain Balance Day in San Diego County. And we're recognized because of what we do and how we support, again, pretty much all ages and sometimes entire families in living out their best potential, I guess. All right. So remember, what you do matters, what you eat matters, and what you think matters. You have so much control of how to support, those best practices for brain health and healthy aging, whether you're young or old, moving that body, making sure you engage the brain and, bring something new and exciting to it, regularly, making sure you have healthy nutrition, a good social network, quality sleep, and that you are mindful and reducing that stress as much as possible. There are other presentations that we do that are free to the community, as well as workshops that we do that are for corporations, including actually right now we are doing a lot of workshops in the San Diego Public Libraries. So you can check out our website to see more. What's our next event? Again, we have, I think, over 30 different workshops across various topics at the San Diego Public Libraries in the next few months. So check our website again. You can go to bit.ly/BBSD events to learn more. Or you can scan the QR code here. It'll take you directly to our website. And if anything, you need more support, you can always call or text us or email. That's fine too. I encourage you to follow us on all the different social media channels, though, Brain Balance San Diego, so that you can stay in the know and really engage with us, because because I personally, one of my strengths is I'm a learner, I'm a lifelong learner. I think the more we know, the more we can make the best decisions for ourselves and those that we care about. And that's why today specifically, I'm so proud of everybody for being here today and wanting to learn more, not only for yourself, but I think some of you are professionals here wanting to know more to support your community, because like all of us, we can't do everything alone, right? There's no silver bullet. We're here to be that resource. We're experts at what we do in retraining the brain in those few months, but we also rely on our community to spread the word and to collaborate with to be successful. So as we wrap up here, I do want to open it up to Q&A, but I would love first for you to type into the chat box, what are your ahas from this training, and what questions do you have? Perhaps you're able to identify what's one or two of the things that you're going to do differently or share with those that you love, so that they can improve their brain health. I would love to hear a little bit about that. In the meantime, I'm going to stop the recording. Please stay in touch with us. We will follow up with you as well with additional resources and a link to this recording. And this will be on our YouTube as well, just in case you missed that, okay?